look here at this list of the 25 most influential interest groups in the country, let's take a minute and try to figure out what makes an interest group successful. And it's not what you think. Well, if you think it's money, it is that. But there's other things that may not be what you think. You might think that if you're a large interest group, you're meeting the groups of a lot of needs of a lot of people, you would be successful, and you would be wrong. See, when we talk about an interest group, we talk about the potential group, everyone who might benefit because they share that interest, and the actual group, the people who are willing to actually go work. So you think about environmental groups. Well, everybody would benefit from a cleaner, nicer environment, right? But how many people are willing to actually put the work in? Groups that fight for a collective good, something that almost everybody can benefit from, and more importantly, something that will not be withheld from you if you're not a member, have a hard time getting participation. Because here's the truth. I know that if the environmental folks go out there and make the environment better, I'm going to benefit anyway, whether I do any work or not. So my incentive is not to do any work. We talked at the beginning of the year about the idea of kids organizing, kids your age organizing, and demanding that public colleges be free. Well, the problem is there would be a lot of people out there who would really want to see that, but they figure that y'all would take care of that so they don't have to do any work. This is called the free rider problem. You don't join an interest group because you know whether you would get involved or not, if the interest group is successful, you'll get the benefit. Now, an interest group has to find some way to deal with the free rider problem if it's going to be successful. And ironically, the more people the group helps, the bigger the free rider problem. The fewer people are willing to actually work. Large groups are also difficult to organize. Olson's law of large groups says, the larger the group, the further it will fall short of providing an optimal amount of a collective good. So the irony is that the interest group system, according to political scientists, does not meet the needs of the majority of society or large groups of society. It only really works for small groups who are able to control the benefits so only they get them. So how do you fix this? Well, Olson says you try to create benefits that only members of the group can get. A great example of this is unions. Unions go argue for better working conditions and pay for members of the union. So you join the union, you get the benefits. You don't join the union, you don't get the benefits. In states where there are closed shops, meaning you have to be a member of the union to work in an industry, unions are very, very powerful. In states like where we are in Texas, where there are open shops, unions are essentially worthless because I can still get the pay raise the union fights for without paying union dues or going to meetings or doing the work. Small groups are better organized and more focused on the group's goals. Multinational corporations are successful because there's few of them, and therefore it's easy to organize themselves for political action, and they have no sense that somebody else is going to come along and do the work for them. I mean, if you think about it, the big oil companies, there's only a few of them. And so they can easily organize themselves together to go lobby the government and get their, I believe it's about $6 billion a year in taxpayer money, just put into their pocket as a subsidy, because they're a small group and there are no free rider benefits. You have to join the group to go get those benefits. Consumer groups have a difficult time getting policy gains because, of course, the benefit becomes spread over the entire population. Public interest lobbies, same thing. If you're fighting for the public good, most people will figure, oh, you've got it, you take care of it, I'll be off over here watching YouTube or whatever it is you're doing. You can look at that chart if you want. That's about the AARP. Intensity matters. The more focused and driven a group is, the more powerful it can be. Groups that focus on one single issue, you might think about pro-life activists, who have a narrow interest. They are not interested in compromise. They are able to be very effective often because they have a more, and I don't mean this in a pejorative way, but a more fanatical, devoted following. People who are willing to put more effort in, to go the extra mile. You think about in 94, I believe it was, but anyway, in the 90s, pro-life interest groups wanted to make a statement, and so they went to Kansas and had a Summer of Hope. These people moved to Kansas for an entire summer to try to shut down abortion clinics in Kansas. That's a level of intensity that most interest groups don't have. Groups often focus on an emotional issue, creating a psychological advantage. One of the great success stories in the history of interest groups is Candy Lightner, and we've talked about her before, but her attempts to get drunk driving made illegal and have harsher and harsher penalties. She had lost her child to a drunk driver. And so she had this very strong emotional appeal and was able to get a lot done, not only in the states but at the federal level. We talked about her before because it was her group that got the drinking age raised to 21 across the country. Intensity also encourages non-conventional means of participation, protests, rallies. I know that when I was at the University of Texas, every day when I would walk from one particular class to another, every day there would be these gigantic, like 30-foot tall pictures of aborted fetuses. I hate to say that. But these people came out for no money every day and set up this giant show there to battle against abortion. This is the kind of non-conventional participation you get when your group is particularly intense. Of course, money. Not all groups have equal amount of money, but money translates into access to politicians, particularly in the post-Citizens United world where there's essentially unlimited corporate spending on elections. As we've talked about before, candidates need money. They need money to get reelected. They are constantly on the lookout for money. And if you're able to donate to their campaign or donate to a PAC that donates to their campaign or run ads on your own in support of them, they're going to be interested in what you want and what you have to say. So wealthier groups have more access to politicians.